Welcome back to Politics. Today we're going to be doing my latest prediction for a matchup between Vice President Harris and former President Donald Trump. I've already characterized all the safe, likely, and lean states. Actually, we're going to come back to Georgia. It may end up with that characterization, but I do think it'll be by a closer margin than lean red. I think that North Carolina, that's a reasonable assumption that it'll probably be in the Republican column. It'll probably be by about a point or two, probably two. But we're going to be going through each of these swing states. We're going to be going through the polls in each of them just with the 538 model, and that'll give us an indication of which candidate will be able to win the presidential election. So we'll be starting out. Let's just start with Arizona, and we'll just be doing an average of the three most recent polls. So we will start out with the state of Arizona. So we'll go on over to the polls here and go to the state of Arizona. Here we are. So in the latest polls, it has Trump up by 2, Trump up by 5, and then in Arizona, Harris up by 2, but that is still a Trump victory. So we are going to be characterizing the state of Arizona as actually we're going to add a tilt characterization. I think that's probably a more realistic possibility for the state of Arizona. So for now, we're going to go with that, and then we will go to the state of Nevada. Nevada is probably going to be a little bit closer. We'll see what the polls say. So we'll go to the state of Nevada. Here we are. Okay, so in Nevada, we have one poll of Trump up by 1, and then one poll of Harris up by 2, and then the third poll here from Morning Consult Bloomberg with both of the candidates tied. There's also this poll. The fourth one is Trump up by 2, but it does that. So on average, it's about but I did say the last three, so we're going to give that as a tilt blue rating. I could definitely see it ending up in the Republican column, but for now, we're going to characterize the state of Nevada as being a tilt red state. And then we will get to the state of, actually, we'll just go to Georgia now, and go to the polls there. So in the state of Georgia, all these states are going to be close, and I think Georgia is probably going to be one of the closer ones for sure. So we have one poll of Trump up by 2, and then we have a left-leaning pollster that has Harris up by 1, and then we have a even between the two candidates in Georgia, again from the Morning Consult Bloomberg poll. So that is going to be a tilt Trump state, just because Trump will be up by 1 on average. So we're going to characterize the state of Georgia as such. I don't think it'll be by a lean margin. I think that Harris will be able to increase Democratic support, but I don't know if it will be enough to secure the state, but I do think it will be a close election. Next up, we have, so right now this brings us to 226 226 electoral votes for Harris, to 268 for the former president, Donald Trump. Now we still have these three states left to characterize, and in order for Harris to win, she would need to win all three of them. Trump only would need to win one of them to secure over 270 electoral college votes. And let's see if he's able to get any of those states. So we'll start out with the state of Wisconsin. We'll go to the polls there. In Wisconsin, it is going to be a close race. Here are the polls. So we have one of Harris up by 2, another of Harris up by 2, and then one of Trump up by 1. So on average, those three give us a Harris victory in the state of Wisconsin. It's going to be by a close margin, probably about a point, maybe slightly more, but around that. So we're going to give that as a tilt blue rating, and then we will go to the state of Michigan. Michigan is going to be one of the bigger swing states in the 2024 election, probably one of the biggest. So we'll go to Michigan, and here we are, latest polls in Michigan. So we have one poll of even, and then we have these two polls. I am certain that Harris nor Trump will win the state by 11 or 12 points, but those are definitely polls that are in support of Harris, and sometimes Morning Consult can be a little leftward leaning, I've noticed, but on average we have these two polls of Harris being, one with Trump and Harris being even, another with Harris up by 12, another with Harris up by 11. Again, I don't think it'll be by that margin. I think it'll be close. Then this other poll we have here, this fourth one, is a right-leaning pollster, which has Trump up by 3. That's still not a huge margin with the other two polls considered, so we're going to give this state as we're actually going to go with a tilt characterization. Oh, there we go. So we're going to go with a tilt blue characterization. I could see it being lean, especially if Governor Gretchen Whitmer, well, she's probably not going to be picked for the vice president nominee for Harris's running mate, but I do think if Shapiro is picked, there will be some positive effects in the Rust Belt, including in the state of Michigan, even though it's home state of Pennsylvania. And speaking of Pennsylvania, now we can go to that state of Pennsylvania. So we have the final state that will determine the outcome of this election. Let's go ahead and look at the polls there. It's going to be interesting. So we have there we are, Pennsylvania. So we have one poll of Trump up by one poll of Harris. We probably should have, well, that is a left-leaning pollster, but it still has Trump up by one. Then we have a Harris up by 3. Then we have a Trump up by 1. So this is going to be close, but if I were to characterize it, I think it would probably be a tilt Harris state, especially if she picks Shapiro for her running mate. I think that would be a really solid choice. And with that, Harris is able to narrowly win the election. It's going to be very close, and I could totally see any of these swing states changing course or flipping to the respective party. I think Nevada and Arizona are probably going to be in the Republican column if the election were to be held today. It's still possible things change, but things are looking pretty good for Trump in the polls there. Not as good now that Harris is the Democratic nominee, but he's still leading there by a okay, comfortable margin, but it's still going to be close. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions about my prediction, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.